wrote my name upon the sand and trusted it would stand for A. But soon, alas, the refluent sea had washed away my feeble lines. I carved my name upon the wood, and after years returned again. I missed the shadow of the tree that stood of old upon the plain. To solid marble next my name I gave as a perpetual trust. An earthquake rent it to its base, and now it lies o'erlaid with dust. All these have failed. In wiser mood I turned and asked myself, what then? If I would have my name endure, I'll write it on the hearts of men, in characters of living light, from kindly words and actions wrought, and these beyond the reach of time shall live immortal as my thought. He carved his name in the hearts of men with the words he wrote and the words he spoke. In many different ways, he touched our lives.
Max has had a lot of stories to tell.
He knows every subject in the world. It's amazing. It's like an encyclopedia.
He was a journalist and I was a teacher.
He had a very high regard for the Filipino people.
He's a fighter, no?
He is the champion of the oppressed.
He was my father image.
He kept our father's legacy, but at the same time did his part to influence the political scene.
He was gregarious. He loved to talk.
He would recite poetry even in Latin.
But he loved jokes, and we would sit down, exchange jokes.
He's the sinner and that my mom was the saint.
He was just totally different, but there is only one Max Soliven.
He's that hero that I always look up to.
A thunderstorm was raging over Santo Domingo, Ilocos Sur, when Maximo was born on September 4, 1929.
We were 9. Max was the eldest and I was the youngest. For me, he was my father image because I never knew my father when I was just a toddler when my father left for the war.
The eldest among the 10 children of Assemblyman Benito Soliven and Pelahia Villaflor, Maximo took on his role as a young provider for the family when his father passed away.
We owe a lot to him. He immediately told Mama that he would like to help put food on the table. So with his savings, he bought a second-hand bicycle and used it to messenger for the Jesuits. Max continued his messengerial jobs all the way until he was a freshman in college.
At the Ateneo de Manila, young Maximo's eyes were open to the world. Here, his love for learning was nurtured and developed.
We were third-year high school, and we were very lucky. During that time, all of our teachers were Jesuits. I remember when the rain would be very strong, Sampaloc would be flooded, no? Our affinity, I suppose, we were both poor kids, no? He lived somewhere, I think, in Blumentritt. I lived somewhere in Tayuman. And when he goes to school, he'd pick me up. What we enjoyed is pagka flood days, no? We'd go wading in the Baha, all right, to our school. The school was slightly elevated, but you step out and you're into the Baha already, no? We had such a hunger for learning, no? But there was one teacher who stood out in my mind, no? He was a Father Ernesto Javier, all right? And Max and I took to him, no? He was a marvelous English teacher. Gee, he made English come to life. And almost always, whenever there's a composition writing, or then Max's composition always come out on the bulletin board, no? I was a poor second, no? But Max was the star of the show.
Soon, his love affair with poetry and literature blossomed.
Max and I gravitated towards each other, no? And that love for literature was there, no? And I remember, because it was Japanese time and there was no quiet place, there were no libraries, there were no beautiful trinomas or beautiful Ayala gardens, no? And the only place Max and I would go to the cemetery. we'd go to Cementerio del Norte, and there among the tombs, okay, there we'd read each other's crazy poems and swap ideas about dreams in the future. We learned to dream there.
As a teenager, Max wrote some 90 poems, many of which spoke of his fervent dreams.
I idolized him. To him, to write is to defend and to uplift our country.
And that's why I think in our own way, we pursued our passion. His passion is journalism, and he went there, and my passion is teaching, and I went there,
Armed with an AB journalism degree from the Ateneo de Manila, he pursued masters at New York's Fordham University. On the side, he wrote for the New York Times and Newsweek magazine. Remembering the pledge he made on his father's deathbed, Max never entered politics, yet dedicated his life in the service of God and his country through the power of his words.
In his job, he entered politics in a different way, through the power of the pen, or to be more precise, the typewriter.
Max saw for himself a certain niche in journalism. He did not really appeal to the general public, but he appealed to that niche of the public that was curious for information, wanted to learn, and could understand English. That was Max's constituency. Max sort of like spoke for that generation. In the 50s and the 60s, that generation wanted a place for the Philippines in the family of the nation that was consistent with our ambition to be a great nation. Max came into journalism, when the Philippines was still considered a show window of democracy, a progressive nation that many in the nations in Asia looked up to as a model for modernity and prosperity, and above all, the democratic system where we had the freest press of all, contentious, sometimes adversarial against government, but free to speak out. And Max was at the center of this milieu that respected democratic values, wanted government to be accountable to the people, and for the media to play a role in making sure that the government is fiscalized and the government does its job.
He never talked nonsense. Max already had a very, very good knowledge of Southeast Asia, world politics.